Well, compared to last year and the year before, this year's fire season in the province of British Columbia has been quieter than normal. The same cannot be said, though, in through Ontario. In fact, the season got off to a roaring start earlier this summer. There were all kinds of evacuations, not only because of the flames, but also because of the thick amounts of smoke. We have an update from the Ministry of Natural Resources on the fire situation across Ontario. Here's what you do need to know, though. We have a risk of thunderstorms today in northwestern Ontario. This is a good news, bad news situation. Good news because it could bring some much needed rain to the area and help extinguish some of the fires. But of course, with the risk of thunderstorms also comes the risk of lightning. And most of the fires started this year in Ontario have been sparked by lightning. So stay with us. A full look at your weather forecast across the country is coming up after this look at your locals. It's Tuesday, August the 16th. We've made it past the midpoint in the month. I'm Lyndsay Morrison, and this is your national forecast. A little fun fact for you. It was on this day in 1750 that about 300 German settlers arrived in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. And then it was also on this day in 1996 that Lunenburg was designated a World Heritage Site. So there you have it. Today in Lunenburg, you're waking up to some shower activity. We've had rain falling right across the Maritimes, courtesy of this low pressure system. It's the same system that brought thunderstorms to southern sections of Ontario yesterday, as well as parts of Quebec, and it's continuing to bring some bands of rain through Cape Breton and now into parts of Newfoundland. Now, this is not going to be an all-day rain for everyone. In fact, we're already starting to see some clearing in through southern Nova Scotia, and this includes Yarmouth and even Lunenburg. Here's how the situation is going to play out. We've got the center of the low over Nova Scotia, as well as PEI. PEI, you're in for a good drenching today. Not going to get too many breaks. Parts of New Brunswick, you'll see lighter amounts of rain, just some showers. But through the overnight hours, conditions are really going to clear out. We'll have high pressure rolling in, and that's going to mean some sunshine for you in the Maritimes. It is going to clear out in through Newfoundland as well, but keep in mind it's also going to be quite windy behind that low pressure system. Just something to keep in mind if you are going to be heading out tomorrow. Let's talk numbers when it comes to the rainfall, though. 20 to 30 millimeters of rain possible by the time all is said and done in and around Halifax and north toward the Annapolis Valley and in through western Newfoundland. You too could get the heavier amounts of rain, as I mentioned too, PEI. But then in through New Brunswick, lighter amounts, 10 to 20 millimeters possible around Fredericton. Let's talk about the active weather that was happening in Ontario, because as I mentioned, I love seeing a rainbow at the end of a storm. Here's what I also like seeing. Kasia Badurka standing outside in the sunshine. Kasia, what's it like out there today?
It is beautiful. I must say we had a beautiful sunrise this morning, and the sun is getting higher in the sky. That means it's getting a little warmer, and I'm almost ready to shed this light jacket of mine if you are heading out in the early hours at 13. So a chillier start to the day, but high pressure in place. We're going to be seeing sunny skies. It's going to be a great day. Back to you, Lyndsay.
Thanks, Kasia. It is going to be a great day. Perfect for spending some time outdoors. Maybe you have some plans with the kids to, if you're heading downtown Toronto, expect a daytime high of about 28 degrees, feeling more like 31 once you factor in the humidity. Similar situation across much of southern Ontario and in the north as well. It's going to be humid around Thunder Bay, Fort Francis, Kenora. There is, however, a risk of thunderstorms. First, though, your long-range forecast. So Wednesday, sunshine returns to the Maritimes. It is going to be windy, though, in Newfoundland, but overall, the wet weather is going to be clearing out. We're watching this cold front in through Ontario. Could spark some thunderstorms in through the central part of the province, maybe into the southern sections as well. This low pressure system will continue to bring heavy amounts of rain to central Manitoba. Seasonal conditions for the most part across the west and Vancouver. What a long-range forecast for you. Mainly sunny, mix of sun and clouds here and there, and fair temperatures as well. Cooler by the time we reach Thursday in through the prairie provinces. A little unsettled, potentially, in Ontario and Quebec. We're expecting maybe the odd thunder shower or two. Breezy conditions continue in Atlantic Canada. By the time we reach Friday, there is the potential for thunderstorms in Quebec, as well as parts of New Brunswick. And then there's the all-important Saturday forecast in Ontario, looking at the risk of some late-day showers in the Greater Toronto area. You could see rain in Muskoka earlier in the day. Our Weather Watch continues after this. For a full look at the 7-day forecast where you live, be sure to stay tuned for your locals. They're coming up in less than 1 minute, but I'd like you to stay after that because we're going to take a look at some of the stories making headlines in Weather Network News, and I can guarantee you we'll be talking thunderstorms because, wow, it was another stormy day across the prairies. Saskatoon specifically took a pretty big hit from a line of storms, and this was the result. Not only frequent lightning and heavy downpours, but also, in some cases, hail the size of golf balls. That led to some damage. It also led to some localized flooding because it clogged up some storm drains, and there was also a report of a house being hit by lightning. Stay with us. Good morning. Parts of southern Ontario got a soaking Monday. Isolated thunderstorms popped up across the region, and some of the heaviest rain fell in Toronto. It's into the region today, which means sunny skies. Well, it was another sleepless night for some people in the prairies. Severe thunderstorms lashed southern Saskatchewan Monday night. A funnel cloud was reported in Yorkton, just west of the Manitoba border. However, no tornado touchdowns were confirmed. Storms hit northern Alberta on Sunday night. The risk for severe weather shifts into eastern Manitoba and northern Ontario today. I'll have more details on that coming up. Well, more forest fires are sparking up in northwestern Ontario. Dozens of new fires have been reported in the past couple of days, and most of them caused by lightning strikes. However, crews are pleased with the progress they've made over the weekend. Ontario's fire season ends October 31st. Fires have affected more than 600,000 hectares of land, making this the second most active fire season of the past 50 years. Well, Vancouverites have been enjoying dry weather and seasonal temperatures so far this week. For some, the nice weather is a perfect opportunity to take their fitness routine outside. Gavin Bach is a personal trainer. He explains why outdoor boot camps are so popular. In international news, people in Moscow are sweltering through record-breaking heat. The temperature soared into the low 30s on Monday. Wildfires. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Well, today the hottest spots in the country will likely be found in southern Ontario and Quebec. Temperatures in the upper 20s, feeling into the 30s. What a difference a day makes across the prairies. Yesterday you were sweltering. Today conditions are slightly cooler, although still warm in Thompson, Manitoba, 23 degrees. It's also going to be warm today in the interior of British Columbia. Kelowna, you're looking at a forecast high of 26. Well, it's been a little while since we've seen scenes like this in some parts of Canada, but in New Zealand, meteorologists are calling this a once-in-a-lifetime event. Snow, heavy rain, and some very strong winds, making for a unique situation there. Quite a contrast to what people in Russia are dealing with. In fact, good morning. You know, Kasia, we were just looking at some video from Moscow, Russia, where there's a heat wave happening right now, and this is a pretty common thing overseas. People jumping into fountains to cool down. You know, it looks sunny behind you right now, but I don't think people are going to be needing to jump into any fountains in the city of Toronto. Am I right?
No, I believe you're right. It's going to be feeling like 31 today, so it will be quite warm, but not heat wave-like. So nobody jumping through fountains today. Mind you, it is a gorgeous morning right now. The sunrise was beautiful, and we're looking at clear, sunny skies right now. Now for the afternoon, though, temperatures will be building, won't they, Lindsay?
They will be, and you're right, Kasia. It is going to be humid today, but I think that it won't be necessarily an oppressive humidity. I think it'll be quite bearable in most cases, but here's what you can expect across southern Ontario this afternoon. It's going to be feeling like 32 in Hamilton, 30 in Ottawa, 30 for you in Windsor. And then in through northern Ontario, we're also dealing with humidex values around Sudbury, as well as Elliott Lake, Sault Ste. Marie, Thunder Bay, Fort Francis. You too have some heat and humidity to contend with today, along with the risk of thunderstorms. More details on that will be coming up. Let's talk about the rain in Atlantic Canada, specifically in the Maritimes. You've been waking up to some showers. Conditions are already clearing in through Halifax and southern sections of Nova Scotia, but there is a risk of some isolated thunderstorms today in Quebec as well as New Brunswick. We have lots to talk about when it comes to your weather forecast, and as a result, we have your national coming up right after the next local forecast. But I want to take an opportunity to thank all of my Twitter followers, all of my Facebook fans. You guys are just great. I love hearing your weather reports, seeing your photos, and I love just being able to interact with all of you. And I know my producer BJ does as well. So if you want to contact us, here's how you can do just that. On Twitter, you can follow myself, Lyndsay TWN. Cash is on Twitter, Cash at TWN. And our morning show producer BJ has her own Twitter page. It's TWN AM Show. And you can also follow her on Facebook. I know not everybody's on Twitter. Most of you are on Facebook, though, I think, and this is such a great page to follow because you get behind the scenes, looks at what goes on here. You can also ask us questions at any time. Stay with us. More details coming up after your local forecast. It's Tuesday, the 16th of August. I know, where is the month going? This is your national forecast. I'm Lyndsay Morrison. It's a sure sign that summer is coming to an end every year. The CNE is set to begin in the city of Toronto. That's a big event happening this weekend. I want to hear where else you have events this weekend across the country. Send me a message on Twitter or on Facebook, and we will outline your forecast details for those events as we move closer to Saturday and to Sunday. Let's take you to Lawrencetown Beach in Nova Scotia. You're still waking up to rain in some parts of Nova Scotia, although already in the southern sections of the province, conditions have started to clear. I'll show you exactly how that system's going to play out in just a moment. Our other area of concern right now is this low pressure system in the prairies. Brought thunderstorms through the overnight hours into the early morning and is still bringing a little thunderstorm activity along the border of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. And then there's our low pressure system in Atlantic Canada, once again bringing a slight risk of some thunderstorms to eastern sections of Ontario, southern sections of Quebec, but in through the Maritimes, this has mainly been a rain story. There's the latest radar data, and this is how the low pressure system is going to make its way out of the region. Continuing through the day in through PEI. Charlottetown, it's going to be a little soggy today. Lingering showers in New Brunswick, but you can see Nova Scotia's clearing for the most part. Rain will continue in some cases through the overnight into Newfoundland, but then behind it, high pressure moving in. Sunshine returning throughout the day tomorrow in the Maritimes. It's going to be windy, though, in through Newfoundland. Keep that in mind. By the time all is said and done, we're looking in some places at upwards of 20, maybe even 30 millimeters of rain in through Nova Scotia. Halifax, you're included in this map, and Charlottetown as well. Western sections of Newfoundland, including Stephenville, you could get a decent drenching of rain. Speaking of rain, we had some rain yesterday in the city of Toronto, but what a difference a day makes. Looks like a completely different scene outside. Kasia Badurka is joining us. Kasia, I see lots of sunshine outside there.
It is just beautiful, Lindsay. Thanks so much. It's clear, it's sunny, the sun is really shining. It's feeling much warmer as well. A lot of us are looking at temperatures at 17 degrees currently across southern Ontario, in fact, but the temperatures will be building. We are looking at high pressure in place for us, so it's going to be a great, dry, clear day for us, isn't it, Lindsay?
It is, Kasia. You know, I'm thinking we should grab lunch on a patio today. I think it's the perfect kind of weather forecast for that. Just a hint of humidity today in through southern Ontario, but in the north, it's going to be feeling into the 30s as well around Fort Frances, Thunder Bay, and Dryden. But there's also that risk of thunderstorms as this low pressure system from the prairies tracks east. Here's your long range.
This long range forecast is brought to you by Proactive.
So if you're not enjoying the rain in the Maritimes today, some good news as we make our way into Wednesday. High pressure moving in, sunshine making a comeback. Still going to be windy for you in Newfoundland, though. Take a look at this cold front. This could trigger some thunderstorms in Ontario throughout the day on Wednesday. And this low pressure system still bringing heavy amounts of rain to Manitoba. Anywhere from 30 to 60 millimeters or more is possible in some communities. Seasonal temperatures across the prairies and Vancouver. Not a bad long-range forecast at all. Similar situation for the interior of British Columbia. Fair temperatures, mix of sun and clouds for the most part. A little cooler across the prairies as we look ahead to Thursday. Risk of some unsettled conditions in southern Ontario and Quebec by Thursday. Breezy conditions continuing in Atlantic Canada. And then there's a risk of thunderstorms in both New Brunswick and Quebec throughout the day on Friday. We're watching this system in Ontario because by Saturday it could be bringing some wet weather to the Greater Toronto area and north to the Muskoka region and the Nickel Belt. Our weather watch will continue. Stay tuned. Well, I know you're waiting for it. Your local forecast is less than 1 minute from right now, but be sure to stay with us because after that, we're going to take a look at some of the stories making headlines in Weather Network News. Quick look at what you can expect across the country today. Nice day for you on the coast of British Columbia. It is cold to start the day in Alberta, but you'll get some westerly winds and conditions will be improving. This low is going to be rapidly intensifying as it makes its way across Manitoba and northwestern Ontario. And then we still have this low pressure system bringing rain to Atlantic Canada, and once again a risk for some potentially isolated severe thunderstorms in through Quebec and parts of New Brunswick. Now stay with us because coming up, well, it's early, but already the 2011 hurricane season, the Atlantic hurricane season, has set a record. Never before have we made it to the letter G in terms of names of storms without there being at least one hurricane. Well, now there has. Tropical Storm Gert remained a tropical storm as it swept past Bermuda. It didn't make a direct hit. It will be downgraded to a post-tropical storm sometime soon. Now stay with us because coming up, we'll bring you more details in your traveler's forecast. Well, if you're yawning a little more than usual today in the prairies, that will make sense because many of you were up late last night calling our storm line, reporting active weather, and in many cases, many of you were up early this morning. These thunderstorms, while they lost some of their punch, they didn't exactly disappear through the overnight hours, and we're still seeing some active weather around Yorkton as well as Dauphin, just along the border of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Environment Canada still has some severe thunderstorm watches in place. This low pressure system is expected to intensify as it makes its way east, and as a result, we're anticipating another round of active weather today, this time with Manitoba looking to be targeted, but more specifically into northwestern Ontario. We're expecting the potential for some severe thunderstorms. So if you're in Kenora, you could get some heavy downpours, maybe even some large-sized hail today, and of course thunder and lightning. Not a good news situation necessarily when it comes to the forest fires because lightning often triggers many of the fires, and it's been an active season in northern Ontario. This is a good news situation when it comes to rainfall in through areas dealing with forest fires, heavy amounts of rain. You can expect some heavy rain if you are in central Manitoba with that low not really going anywhere all that quickly. 30 to 60 millimeters of rain or more possible around Grand Rapids as well as around Norway House. You know, overall this has been a relatively dry summer in Manitoba after a very soggy spring that triggered all that flooding. Thunder Bay, you'll be into some active weather through the overnight hours. High pressure dominating in southern Ontario today. It's going to be beautiful and sunny. This cold front could be a weather maker in the coming day, though. More details on that are coming up. Stay with us. We'll be dealing with some lingering showers this afternoon in places like St. John's, Halifax, risk of thunderstorms for Montreal and Winnipeg, but lots of sunshine in store across southern Ontario and much of western Canada, Saskatoon, Kelowna, Victoria, all kinds of sunshine in your forecast. If you're heading out, make sure you bring your Transitions optical lenses. Good morning. Well, there has been no shortage of active weather in the prairies this summer, and last night was no exception. Tonight may not be an exception either, but wanted to take an opportunity. This was the scene in Saskatoon. Bit of a stormy situation. We had lightning, we had thunder, heavy rain, golf ball-sized hail, and even some localized flooding. Meanwhile, in the eastern part of the country, Montreal, not a bad day at all. In fact, it was a little overcast. Temperatures were a little cool for this time of year. You reached a daytime high of 23. It's going to be a little warmer today, but there is a slight risk of thunderstorms in the city, and this extends in through Quebec City and into parts of New Brunswick as well as the Gaspé Peninsula. So we will outline your full weather forecast for the day today right after this look at your locals. Be sure to stay with us. You are just in time for your national forecast. It is Tuesday, August the 16th. I'm Lyndsay Morrison. Thank you so much for joining us. We're talking about just about every kind of weather today on the show. We've got heat waves in some parts of the world. We have snow falling where it doesn't normally fall in some parts of the world as well. And here at home, we've been seeing some pretty intense thunderstorm activity. There was reports of localized flooding. There's some flashes of lightning, rumbles of thunder. Overall, just another stormy night, and we're anticipating some more active weather today. Already still seeing some active weather. The thunderstorms themselves have lost some of their punch, but just around Yorkton, some heavy bands of rain at this time. Swan River, Dauphin, Manitoba, you've been into some active weather today. Environment Canada still has severe thunderstorm watches in place for some. Something to keep in mind. Hopefully these haven't kept you up too late or had you up too early with the noise they've been making. In terms of your temperatures, what a difference a day makes. Yesterday we were into the 30s in some cases, feeling into the upper 30s once you factor in the humidity. Brandon, only looking at a daytime high of 19 degrees today. Lots of sunshine in store across parts of Saskatchewan, and this is an improvement across Red Deer. You were only at 5 degrees through the overnight hours, but you're looking at a forecast high of 20. Today, our target area when it comes to thunderstorms will be parts of Manitoba and northwestern Ontario. If you're around Kenora, you could see some large-sized hail, some gusty winds, maybe some torrential downpours as well. But the risk really expands into parts of Manitoba, extending back into Saskatchewan and over to Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay, you could be seeing some active weather later today. This low isn't going anywhere very fast. As a result, we're seeing some very heavy rain over the next day or so in through central sections of Manitoba. 30 to 60 millimeters is possible around Norway House as well as Grand Rapids. And, you know, this is considering it's been such a dry summer, maybe the rain will be welcomed by some. No rain to be found outside our Oakville, Ontario studios. All I see is sunshine and a nice sunny smile from Kasha Badurka. Kasha, what's it like out there today?
Thank you so much. It is beautiful. That's why I am smiling. The sun is shining, the skies are clear, and that's what today's going to be looking like. We have high pressure in place, so don't forget your sunglasses. It's going to be a sunny day for currently. But temperatures are certainly climbing. It's going to be a warm one, won't it be? Lindsay?
It will, Kasha, and not only warm, but also a little on the humid side in both southern Ontario and northern Ontario. But we are looking at a risk of thunderstorms once again in the north. Rain has been falling in the Maritimes. We'll let you know how much you can expect after your long range. So for Wednesday, conditions will be clearing out of the Maritimes. That's the good news for you. High pressure rolling in, sunshine making a bit of a comeback, but it is still going to be windy in Newfoundland. Keep that in mind. You can see this cold front making its way through Ontario. As a result, we could see some thunderstorms in some areas and still getting some heavy amounts of rain in through central Manitoba. Seasonal conditions across the prairies and Vancouver. You have a pretty great long-range forecast. Expect sunshine with some clouds and some relatively fair temperatures right through the week. A little cooler, though, on Thursday across the prairie provinces, and we're looking at the potential for some unsettled weather in through southern Ontario and southern sections of Quebec. Still breezy in Atlantic Canada, and by the time Friday rolls around, that risk of thunder showers is going to push into New Brunswick as well as Quebec, but we're kind of between the two systems in southern Ontario. It's by the time we reach Saturday that we could be seeing some late day showers in the greater Toronto area, maybe some heavier bands of rain as you make your way north to Muskoka. Our Weather Watch continues after this. For a full look at the 7-day forecast where you live, be sure to stay tuned for your locals. They're coming up in less than 1 minute, but I'd like you to stay after that because we're going to take a look at some of the stories making headlines in Weather Network News, and I can guarantee you we'll be talking thunderstorms because, wow, it was another stormy day across the prairies. Saskatoon specifically took a pretty big hit from a line of storms, and this was the result. Not only frequent lightning and heavy downpours, but also, in some cases, hail the size of golf balls. That led to some damage. It also led to some localized flooding because it clogged up some storm drains, and there was also a report of a house being hit by lightning. Well, today the hottest spots in the country will likely be found in southern Ontario and Quebec. Temperatures in the upper 20s, feeling into the 30s. What a difference a day makes across the prairies. Yesterday you were sweltering. Today conditions are slightly cooler, although still warm in Thompson, Manitoba, 23 degrees. It's also going to be warm today in the interior of British Columbia. Kelowna, you're looking at a forecast high of 26. We have your traveler's forecast coming up in just a couple of moments, and if you're traveling to New Zealand, you may want to pack that snowsuit. I know this doesn't happen very often, but it's disrupted some local services and closed some public buildings, but people were taking it in stride. All right, Kasha, let's talk for a minute about this summer in Toronto. We've had a few heat alerts over the past couple of months. We have recently had some rain. I know we were lacking through the month of July, but temperatures have been right around where they should be for this time of year the last couple of weeks, and we've had no major smog days. So I think personally that people are going to look back on this summer in the city of Toronto and remember it as being a great one. What's your thought?
What a great point you make. It's so true. And I remember so many of us were complaining about our brown grass, our brown lawns. And now if you take a look behind me, it's nice and green again. So we are getting a little bit more balance, as you were saying. So it's been shaping up to be great. And today is really nice as well. Pressure in place. Don't forget your sunglasses if you're heading out too. It's a really sunny one.
That's a good piece of advice, Kasia. You know, not everyone likes the heat and the humidity, but you won't find too many people complaining about the sunshine, and there's plenty of that in store this afternoon as well. We'll be a little warmer than normal for this time of year, looking at a forecast high of 28 in Toronto, feeling closer to 31 once you factor in that humidity. It's been a bit of a soggy morning in parts of the Maritimes, but conditions are clearing in through Nova Scotia. Still expecting to see some rain in Charlottetown and PEI today, lingering showers in New Brunswick, and the rain is getting started for you in many parts of Newfoundland, but that risk of thunderstorms will continue today. By the time all is said and done, here's how much rain you can expect. Well, compared to last year and the year before, this year's fire season in the province of British Columbia has been quieter than normal. The same cannot be said, though, in through Ontario. In fact, the season got off to a roaring start earlier this summer. There were all kinds of evacuations, not only because of the flames, but also because of the thick amounts of smoke. We have an update from the Ministry of Natural Resources on the fire situation across Ontario. Here's what you do need to know, though. We have a risk of thunderstorms today in northwestern Ontario. This is a good news, bad news situation. Good news because it could bring some much needed rain to the area and help extinguish some of the fires. But of course, with the risk of thunderstorms also comes the risk of lightning. And most of the fires started this year in Ontario have been sparked by lightning. So stay with us. A full look at your weather forecast across the country is coming up after this look at your locals. It's Tuesday, August the 16th. I'm Lyndsay Morrison. Thanks for joining me here on the Weather Network's National Morning Show. We have lots to talk about when it comes to the weather across the country, and we'll get you through to the start of your weekend with your long-range forecast. That's also coming up. No shortage of active weather in recent weeks across the prairies. In fact, we had hail the size of golf balls crashing to the ground. There were also reports of some localized flooding and even a house reportedly being hit by lightning. So a very active night around Saskatoon. And we still have some thunderstorms rumbling across parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba today. They've lost a lot of their steam, but they're still there. And Environment Canada still has a severe thunderstorm watch in place for parts of Manitoba, as well as a rainfall warning now in effect around Norway House. That's because this low really isn't going anywhere fast, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But quick look at your temperatures you can expect today. Significantly cooler in through Manitoba as well as Saskatchewan, but lots of sunshine in store for Saskatchewan and Alberta. It's an improvement for you in Alberta. It was cool yesterday and cold through the overnight hours. However, there is still that risk of thunderstorms today, specifically around Manitoba and northwestern Ontario. If you're in Kenora, you can expect the potential for some severe weather, maybe some large-sized hail, torrential downpours, and some gusty winds. But this risk extends all the way into Manitoba as well as parts of Saskatchewan. And then Thunder Bay, you could be seeing some active weather later in the day. If it's not thunderstorms, this system could be bringing you some very heavy amounts of rain, specifically in through central sections of Manitoba. It's been a dry summer in Manitoba despite a very soggy spring, but anywhere from 30 to 60 millimeters of rain could fall around Grand Rapids and Norway House. That's where we do have our rainfall warning in effect. No sign of rain this morning outside our Oakville, Ontario studios. All I see is sunshine. Kasia, I think this is a good morning for maybe breakfast on the patio.
Great idea. We'll talk about that after.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Lyndsay. It is beautiful. That is, if you are into sunny, dry conditions and temperatures are building. We're going to have a great afternoon, and sunny skies is what you're looking up to right now. Meantime, the afternoon, like we mentioned, is going to be pretty great, won't it?
It will. You know, if you like heat and you like humidity, that you will enjoy this afternoon. Lots of sunshine in store as well. If you're looking to walk the dog or head for that morning jog, do it now before the humidity sets in, because it's going to be feeling into the 30s in many parts of Ontario today.
This long-range forecast is brought to you by Gordon R. Williams Corporation.
So Wednesday, sunshine returns to the Maritimes. It is going to be windy, though, in Newfoundland, but overall, the wet weather is going to be clearing out. We're watching this cold front in through Ontario. Could spark some thunderstorms in through the central part of the province, maybe into the southern sections as well. This low-pressure system will continue to bring heavy amounts of rain to central Manitoba. Seasonal conditions for the most part across the west and Vancouver. What a long-range forecast for you. Mainly sunny, mix of sun and clouds here and there, and fair temperatures as well. Cooler by the time we reach Thursday in through the prairie provinces. A little unsettled, potentially, in Ontario and Quebec. We're expecting maybe the odd thunder shower or two. Breezy conditions continue in Atlantic Canada. By the time we reach Friday, there is the potential for thunderstorms in Quebec as well as parts of New Brunswick. And then there's the all-important Saturday forecast in Ontario, looking at the risk of some late-day showers in the Greater Toronto area. You could see rain in Muskoka earlier in the day. Our Weather Watch continues after this.